Welcome everybody to the Finance Committee for meeting for March 15th. It's 6 o'clock. We have myself, Fred McGovern, Tom Connolly, Cheryl, Drew, and Joe with us tonight. As part of our list of things to be discussed, we have the acceptance and meetings, budgets, a discussion of wage and personnel amendments, a reserve fund transfer, correspondence, public participation calendar as may arise. And we also have an executive session scheduled for tonight. I'd like to get started with the acceptance of minutes from 3:10 that Linda was nice enough to send out to us on Sunday. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at them? I know that one's kind of long because it actually had all the voting that we actually did. Yeah. So if nobody has any problems, I'd like to see if someone would like to make a motion to accept the minutes from 3:10.
I make that motion.
Second.
All right, let's do a roll call vote for acceptance then. Tom?
Aye.
Joe?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Drew?
Yeah.
And myself is a yes. All right, so we'll move on to, let's skip the executive session for now and budgets, and we'll jump over. Do we have any wage and personnel amendments yet, Charlie, or is that still being discussed?
No, I got no work done on those during the last few days.
Okay, well, that's fine. We have plenty of meetings to talk about different things.
No, I know, but I don't have plenty of time left I've done, so.
Yeah.
I'll have
Okay.
it.
Do we have any reserve fund transfers for this week?
We do not.
Do not. How about correspondence?
Nothing.
Nothing. Wow, this is going quickly. Okay, so Charlie, is there things that you want to talk about on the budget before we go to executive session?
Yeah, Sandy and I were looking at the revenue numbers, and Sandy can chime in with added information, or the revenue and expense numbers actually. So on the revenue side, what we were looking at today was local receipts. The ambulance fund is basically where it's been now for several months. It's still higher than what was used when we set the tax rate for fiscal 21. We set it at 550,000, and we're getting 12-month totals. You know, we roll it along every month, but we're still a little bit above 600,000, which, you know, it's fine. We're not going to drop to 550. I will know that we're going to know that you want to increase what your expectations are for FY22. I think part of that discussion sometimes needs to happen with the assessors, because the assessors actually sign that page, or they actually sign the recap sheet. And so if they don't agree with the Finance Committee's estimates as to what local receipts are going to be for the next year, it's better to know that early rather than late. But setting that aside, if you were to increase what your estimated ambulance receipts would be, it wouldn't be by much. If you needed another $5,000 at the end of the day, it's one thing. If you need another 50, different. Yeah, motor vehicle, on the other hand, we're still running above 1.2 million, and we're reusing, I think, was it $1,050,000? Sandy, I think, or something like that. So you could, I think, increase it. What Sandy's waiting for, and she's right, is to see what the March figures are going to look like. We're halfway through the month. We're a little behind for the month versus last year, but it's a matter of timing of when the bills went out. Last year's bills went out maybe a week or two earlier than this year's bills. So March may be lighter than last March, but February was better than last February. And you're going to be meeting after April 1st, and so it can make any last minute adjustments. And what you'll want to do as you work through the budgets and know where the requests for increases are is make a priority list and say, if we've got, here's our number one. If we got money, we're going to do number one. Here's number two. Here's number three, so that you don't have to rethink, let's say on April 5th, if you suddenly realize you've got an extra $50,000 because the motor vehicle receipts came in very nicely, that you're then argue, well, which thing are we going to spend money on if you want to spend money. You already have your priority list. Say, okay, we've gotten this far down the priority list with the money that we've got. We got another 50,000. Can we do number 6? Yep. Okay. Can we do number 7? Nope. We're stopping at number 6. And in terms of motor vehicle, sort of corollary to that, not for us, but for the state, is their sales tax on motor vehicle sales. And that obviously took a drop, like everything took a drop almost back last March, but it's regained its strength. In fact, the 12 months ending in February of 2020 are the same amount, 892 million in terms of motor vehicle sales tax, as the 12 months ending this February. So despite that drop in the spring, March, April, May, it's regained the momentum that it had, and it's back to where it was 12 months ago in terms of a 12-month average. So people did stop buying cars, and then people started buying cars again to the point that they've caught themselves up again. So I don't see a dramatic drop in motor vehicle excise, because motor vehicle excise follows the sales tax. People buy cars, and eventually we see a motor vehicle excise bill.
Right.
We'll see what things look like. I mean, Sandy keeps very good track, even on a day-to-day basis, of the motor vehicle or anything else. And you'll have an opportunity to make last-minute adjustments that first week of April. On the expense side, one thing that Sandy and I pointed out to each other was that we're still negotiating contracts for the year we're in now. Those contracts, because we haven't negotiated them yet, because we're still working those out, aren't reflected in the FY22 numbers, in the sense of forgetting about across the board increases for 22. The 21 ones for the mixed unit patrol officers and sergeants aren't there. Now, you can run some, estimates on the back of the envelope and say, okay, if we ended up doing a 1.6% increase for those 3 units, for those employees, how much more money would we need in the 21 budget, which would mean that much more money in the 22 budget? It's probably like $25,000 to $30,000. That doesn't include, however, any other increases due to those contracts, in that we're doing a 3-year contract with the mixed unit. We're doing a 3-year contract with the patrol officers. And if they got any more stipends, if they got any additional money in other categories other than straight pay, that's going to have to be reflected in both the fiscal 21 and fiscal 22 budgets. What it means is whatever number Sandy has for you right now, or did a couple hours ago before we start talking about it, it's a little bit less. It's that $25,000 or $30,000 less than it was before calculating the additional.
I did update the spreadsheet. So I did add in the 1.6% for the police on their wages, and on the different areas in the mixed unit, I added in. So the spreadsheet should be pretty up to date.
So, some potentially good news, in essence, you might have a card that you're holding that you don't need to play right now, and you'll be able to play in 3 weeks. On the other hand, the other side, I don't mean that in a bad way, but on the expense side, there's a card that's now been played on the table that isn't helpful to us. But it's better to know that card's there and remember it's there than forget about it until the first week of April, and suddenly you're needing $25,000 or $30,000. You know you need to spend that money. It needs to be going into those categories before you start going through your priority list of other things. So, I mean, that's all that's happened in the last few days.
The other thing that I updated on your spreadsheet was I changed the elementary school number. I did get a number from Christine, what the additional cost would be for the steps and lanes for the teachers. And then also, she's very concerned about the transportation contract, because the buses, there's been changes in that. So another 11,000 for the buses for the bus contract. So I added those in. It came to 99,000 something, but I did add that into the FY20 number and updated that on the spreadsheet. So if you're looking, if you go into the one stop, whatever it's called, 1 point, you'll see that the spreadsheet is now dated March 15th. And those updates are on that.
They're in the expense worksheet, Sandy?
Yes, yep.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks.
But if you go to the synopsis page, you'll see that the only money we're working with right now, if I can get over to it, I think we have about 155,000 in the black. So it's not a lot of money. And we haven't heard anything about the Silver Lake steps and lanes, what that would cost.
Mhm.
Silver Lake hasn't come back with their new budget, their new version. Like I said, they usually do a couple of versions every year. So
Mhm.
Charlie, I was not able to listen in on that Silver Lake meeting for the budget part of it. Do you want to fill them in on what happened then?
I don't know. I was there right at the beginning during the public session, where the comment section, I made my comments basically, not that we're broke, but we don't have a lot of money to be spending, and said, the general philosophy of the finance committee, and that we were going to be equitable, in the sense we would treat Silver Lake the same way we treated other budgets. But the reverse was true. We would treat other budgets the same way we would treat Silver Lake. We're not going to simply, for instance, specifically on wages, we're not treating the personnel there and providing more money for them on a different basis than we would provide the elementary school employees or anybody else here working in Halifax. I knew it was going to be a very lengthy meeting with a lot of other issues besides the budget. And I didn't stay for it. I think Fred just came in, checked in with me, I don't know, about 7:30 or 8. And I went back and, it was because he was still at work. And I checked back and the meeting was still going on. They weren't talking about the budget right at that moment. So I didn't know exactly where they were, but I just knew that they weren't talking about the budget. So I don't know the results Thursday.
Yeah, they were still talking about the whole going back to school, and that went on and on and on and on until they finally, made some votes on it. So.
Right, I believe that because I also did try to listen to it. I was having trouble with my computer and couldn't get into it, but I was listening, and I think I hung in till a little after 8, and I don't think they had touched on the budget at that point. So it was a very long meeting. And I don't know how it ended. It might be something that you want to talk to Gordon about. We can see if Gordon can come into a meeting or.
Yeah, we should swing back and check in with Gordon. Again, the voting of actually the discussion of, middle school going back and high school, that went on well after 10. So, I don't think they even got to that. So. All right, sorry I got kicked off once again. I got a new laptop and every now and then it likes to kick me off Zoom meetings for some reason. I don't know why.
It's placing a limit on you, Fred.
It could be, yeah. It did it like last week on a different meeting. I got kicked off and not like tonight. So hopefully that's the only one I get kicked off, because I don't want to, start a habit of this multiple times a meeting. All right, so with regards to wages, with the stuff that we have for step increases, is that stuff that we could vote on outside of executive session, or would you recommend we have the executive session discussion first?
The step increases are in the bylaw. I mean, basically, if they're not negotiated per se, and even in the contracts, they're not, we haven't made change, there's no negotiations occurring right now about changes in the steps. And in essence, you would be voting today based on the current contracts. If they're public documents, they're negotiated. You're voting as if there were no other changes. If, for the heck of it, let's say that we threw in a step 7. That would be something negotiated, whether, and I would come to you in executive session and we'd be talking about that.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a negotiate, we're going to have an executive session, but right now you could vote for step increases for line items that are for wage and personnel employees or for union employees without a problem, but you're basing it on the current contract.
Okay, so if nobody has any problem with it, I'd like to go back to the FinCom budget from the spreadsheet that Sandy updated today, which is 315. And if Sandy will be kind enough to just tell us which line items that are wages that we can vote on, we can just go through those, get those out of the way, and then after that, circle back to the executive session on the other contracts that we have to talk about. So if I don't know if everybody's got it up yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously line 1, moderator salary. Is Dennis still the moderator? He's still the moderator.
Yes, he'll be moderator for the May town meeting. He's not running again. I don't know if anybody's actually pulled papers for the moderator, but for this May town meeting, he's still the moderator.
Okay,
He
so we
won't-
were just,
And he didn't, when I asked, the initial request I made to him was, we don't submit the budget to him. I do email him and say, is there any change you want? He said, no, he's fine. Now,
Okay.
whether Mary or Joe, who's elected, is going to feel the same way, well, tough noogies, the salary is going to be what the salary is for the person who's doing the job next May.
okay. In that case, I'd like to see if anybody would like to make a recommendation on item 1, moderator salary, in the amount of $200.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All right, let's do a roll call vote then. Tom,
Aye.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Aye.
Drew,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Then we come to the selectmen salaries. This would be item number 2 on your spreadsheet. So I'd like to see if somebody would like to
So
make.
just a suggestion, if maybe we can group them. And
Sure.
again, I've already taken into account current contracts and steps.
Okay,
So the budgets that are in there have the step increases
Yep.
and the town administrator.
okay.
That is his current contract.
All right, so let's go down. So for under the general government, we have 2 that we can do. Town admin is line 3. Clerical and expense, right?
You could do selectman salary
Yep,
for 4,500, town administrator, selectman clerical, all 3 of those you can do.
okay, let's do those 3 together then. I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve line items, number 2, selectman salary in the amount of $4,500. Line item 3, town admin salary in the amount of $121,250. Line item number 4, selectman clerical in the amount of $85,437.
So moved.
Or a second?
Second?
Okay, roll call vote. Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Okay, so what do we got left? Anything else in general government?
You have FinCom clerical, and then
Yep,
you can go to accountant salary and accountant clerical.
Okay, so that's 10, 12, and 13. Let's do those now. I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve line item 10, FinCom clerical in the amount of $4,830. Line item 12, accountant salary in the amount of $80,078. And line item 13, account clerical in the amount of $44,642.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second? Second?
Roll call vote. Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren? Okay, Drew?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. And that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you were nodding, so I thought that took.
Oh,
It is yes.
sorry.
Sorry.
Now, Charlie, do you want to hold the data processing?
Yeah, for now.
right, so-
Well, yeah, please do.
All right,
All right,
so hold
so-
the data processing. You can then vote on assessor salary, principal assessor, assessor clerical.
Okay, let's do those three next. Move my spreadsheet down. Okay, I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve line item 16, assessor's salary in the amount of $4,500. Line item 17, principal assessor appraiser in the amount of $79,047. Line item 18, assessors clerical in the amount of $66,443.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, a roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
and myself is a yes. All right, let's move down to,
So now you have treasurer collector salary, treasurer collector clerical. And then if you go down to 27 and 28, you have town clerk salary and town clerk clerical.
we'll knock those four off right quick. All right, I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve line item 21, treasurer collector salary in the amount of $73,033. Line item 22. What? Okay. Continue on. Line item 22, treasurer collector clerical in the amount of $140,342. Is that right?
Yeah, is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Just want to check since it was less.
Correct.
It didn't match the other ones. Line items 27, town clerk salary in the amount of $57,062. Line 28, town clerk clerical in the amount of $34,772.
So
So,
moved,
a second.
Okay, roll call vote. Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
and myself is a yes. That takes us down to, what do we got
Down
next?
to line 37,
37.
regulatory clerical,
Okay,
38,
yep,
40.
okay. Does that finish up our
I think that finishes the
General.
general government.
general? All right, so let's take care of those. I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve line 37, regulatory clerical in the amount of $76,981. Line 38, building committee clerical in the amount of $11,902. And line 40, town buildings custodial in the amount of, so that one's higher,
Mm-hmm.
so that's okay.
It's, yeah,
All right, well,
yes. I'm going to say yes. I will go back and look at it, at the reasoning behind it, but
yeah, because it concerns me because it's higher than the proposed.
It's
what you
higher than the
have.
ask. Yeah.
if you want to skip that one,
Yeah.
I can check
Yeah.
it. We can do it Wednesday.
All right, so we're gonna
Right.
skip 40 then. So
Okay.
again, the motion is for lines 37 and 38.
So moved.
Second,
A roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
and myself is a yes. Okay, moving down. Is there anything that we can do in the public safety police? Or is that all
No.
to go? I didn't think so.
No, those include the steps. In those,
So which ones can we do?
police chief salary 44. Charlie, you stop me if I'm wrong.
Oh,
Police
so you're
chief
right.
salary, 44. Police
Yep.
wages, 45, and and police clerical, 47.
Right. So what will happen is, uh, Sandy, for 47, does that include the overtime or anything else, or is it just the straight pay?
No, I took the overtime out. It's just the straight pay.
So if we end up with any adjustments in the police chief's contract, there'll be a separate article at town meeting. And then same thing with the patrol officers and sergeants for the police wages. So what you're voting is what the current contracts say they're supposed to be paid.
Okay, so like for line 45, that amount, which is higher than last year, but less than the request, that's what the contract says. Okay, got it.
Mhm.
All right, so let's go through these. I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve line 44, police chief's salary in the amount of $120,000. Lines 45, police wages in the amount of $1,225,520. And line 47, police clerical in the amount of $48,127.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call vote. Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
and myself is a yes. Moving down to fire, I assume it's pretty much 51, 52, and 53.
And 54, training as well, because there's a
Okay.
lot of wages in training, so.
Got it. All right. All right. So I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve lines 51, fire chief salary in the amount of $127,000. Lines 52, fire clerical in the amount of $38,606. Lines 53, fire wages in the amount of $1,045,320. And line 54, fire training in the amount of $58,758.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All right, could I roll call vote? Tom?
Yeah.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
and myself is a yes. Moving down to public safety. So we have, see, 61 and 62, right?
Right,
And
and 64
4.
and 66.
Okay. I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve lines 61, building inspector wages in the amount of $78,047. Lines 62, assistant building inspector wages in the amount of $2,238. Line 64, sealer weights measure salary in the amount of $2,716. And line 66, the animal control officer salary in the amount of $21,619.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call vote. Tom?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yes.
Cheryl?
yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Drew?
Yeah.
And myself is a yes. I believe we're skipping schools, right?
Yeah,
No pun
Good luck.
intended.
Yeah, I know.
We're all skipping school. No school for us. All right, so highway, we would have 77, 78, and 79.
right.
And then 87? No, we did that one. Because that was $1. Okay, 77, 78, and 79. I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve lines 77, highway surveyor salary in the amount of, let's see, I just maximized my screen. $76,419. Line 78, highway wages in the amount of $321,704. Line 79, highway clerical in the amount of $43,613.
So moved.
Second,
Okay. Roll call vote. Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
Lauren,
yes,
Drew,
Yes.
and myself is a yes as well. Let's make it full screen here. There we go. All right, going down to Public Works Cemetery. I assume it's 90 and 91.
Yep.
All right, I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion for line 90 cemetery superintendent salary in the amount of $11,450, and line 91 cemetery wages in the amount of $68,889.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call vote. Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yes.
Lauren,
yes,
Drew,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. All right, let's see where we are now. Public Works Water. So this would be 93, 94, and 95.
Right.
Okay. I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve line 93, water superintendent salary in the amount of $87,961. Line 94, water wages in the amount of $208,245. Line 95, water clerical in the amount of $47,101. Now I notice 94 and 95 are a little higher than,
Right.
so that,
Like,
yeah, that's the question. Why?
Right. And again, if you want to hold off, I can have an answer for you next week,
Okay.
on Wednesday. I
All
don't,
right,
I know that I had to go through their payroll, but I mean, their budget submission, but I'm not sure. I don't remember offhand why. So I will, oh, no, I do remember why. Wait a minute, these just went up. And
Yeah.
these went up today because of
Mixed unit.
mixed unit. So I included the 1.6 that they did not get for FY '21 because there was no vote taken, but which
it's,
could be negotiated so that they would be at the 21 rates. So right now their salaries hadn't, as Charlie explained this earlier. Charlie,
Yeah.
you want to?
So Sandy, the FY '22 number you've given them does not
Mhm.
include the increase of 1.6%, correct?
It does include it. That's why it went
That's
up.
why it's up.
So
Okay.
that's the 208. And if you actually click on the square, you'll see that I added in the 1.6%.
We can't.
We
I mean,
can't.
No, so it's not fun logistically, but what should happen basically is that we'll get to town meeting on May 10th. We'll have a special town meeting where we'll have articles to approve contracts for fiscal '21, the year we're in now, for those unions. I hope that we haven't, we'll
So
have-
do you want me to take them out of the police as well?
did you
Because I
give them-
added in the police wages
Yeah.
as well.
we need to take it out of everything that's still to be negotiated, yeah.
Negotiation.
Okay. All
I
right.
think your highway clerical was up as well for that reason.
Yes. Yep.
okay.
So
So-
we'll have to go back to police. We'll take these two out. I'll change those back to 204,966 for the water wages and the 46359 for the
Okay.
water
Clerical.
clerical, because
Well,
that was
we'll-
a step.
Yeah, so I'll do this again then,
right.
using the new numbers here. I'd like to make a motion for somebody to approve lines 93 water superintendent salary in the amount of $87,961. Line 94 water wages in the amount of $204,966. And line 95 water clerical in the amount of $46,359.
So moved.
second,
Okay, roll call vote. Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
yes,
and myself as a yes. Now, we can
Okay,
back up.
so, yeah, we'll have to go back to the police wages and back to highway clerical. I
Right.
apologize, I was under the impression that we were putting in, because that would have been the amount of the
Highway, yeah,
that it would have been at.
okay. So
So if you want to
highway,
go back to highway clerical,
right, so should that be 42,926 since the.
so that should have been, let's see. Yeah, 42,926.
Okay, so let's do that one again. I'd like to make it a motion for somebody to approve line 79, highway clerical in the amount of $42,926.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Tom,
Yes,
Joe,
yes,
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
yes,
and myself as a yes. And now we back up to,
Police
we don't-
wages,
just double check. The building inspector wages, is that included too? Because I see that's,
no,
Higher.
that's not,
okay.
that is a step.
That's a
But
step,
if you
okay.
go up to line 45, police wages,
Yep,
that
Please say-
amount should be 1,206,220.
all right, 1,206,000.
Yep, 220.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion for somebody to approve line item 45, police wages in the amount of 1,206,220.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Tom,
Yes,
Joe,
yes,
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
yes,
and myself is a yes. Is that the last one we have to fix?
Oh, that's probably what happened with the building maintenance number as well.
Yep.
What
If you want to go up to line town building custodial,
Yep. Oh, I see, yeah,
31.
209, 619. Okay,
mhm,
all right, so we'll
Um,
redo. We'll redo that one then. I'd like to make a motion for somebody to approve line item 40, town building custodial in the amount of $209,619.
so moved.
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Tom,
Yes,
Joe,
yes,
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
yes,
and myself is a yes.
okay.
And now is that it?
Now we can go back to,
All the way
Yeah.
down
so,
to solid waste management, right?
right,
So let's take a look at these before we get going here. 104, 105, 106, and they all seem to match, right?
105's already been voted, 104
Yep.
and
104.
106.
All right, 104 and 106,
Yeah.
great. All right, I'd like to see if somebody would like to make a motion to approve line items 104, that being recycled office clerical, in the amount of $31,907, and line 106, recycling center wages, in the amount of $73,313.
so moved.
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Tom,
Yes,
Joe,
yes,
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
yes,
myself as a yes. Okay. Going down to Health and Human Services. What do we got here?
Right.
110,
Mm-hmm, 112,
112,
15,
15,
yep,
you can do
116,
116,
yep,
119, that's it.
okay. All right, I'd like to see if someone would like to make a motion to approve line items 110, health clerical, in the amount of $44,724. Lines 112, health inspections, in the amount of $73,879. Line 115, Inspector of Animals, in the amount of $3,223. Line item 116, Council on Aging wages, in the amount of $185,237. And line 119, Veteran Agent Salary, in the amount of $15,518.
So moved.
Second,
A roll call vote, Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
yes,
Cheryl,
yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
myself is a yes. That brings us down to library.
Right.
Now, does the library have the amounts? Have we?
Yes.
built- So this, did we build in the amounts for certification and all that sort of stuff into the stuff?
We did.
Okay, great. So we have lines 125, 126, and what else do we have?
128 youth and rec wages,
Yep, and
130 youth and rec director, and then 131 park
One.
wages.
okay, 5 of them total. I'd like to make a motion to see if somebody would like to approve line item 125, library director salary, in the amount of $71,446. Line 126, library wages, in the amount of $174,214. Line 128, youth and rec wages, in the amount of $18,084. Line 130, youth and rec director, in the amount of $18,023. Line item 131, park wages, in the amount of $100.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Tom,
Yes.
Joe,
yes,
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
and myself is a yes. All right, moving down. So that's all done. And
I think that's
That's
it.
That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
all right,
That is it.
all right. So at this point, unless somebody else has something else they want to cover under budget, does anybody have anything they want to talk about before we go to executive session? I'm not hearing anything. I believe we have to make a roll call vote to go into executive session, correct, Charlie?
You're going into executive session to discuss the town's negotiating position on the following contracts: highway, mixed unit, sergeants, patrol officer, fire, chiefs for the police chief and the fire chief. I guess probably we should include the schools for the moment, for the elementary school in Silver Lake, as discussion in public of the town's negotiating position on these contracts would be detrimental to the town's position.
Right. And do we need to vote whether or not we're coming back from executive session to a public session?
Unless you can say right now, if you're not coming back into public session, you say so now. And if you're not going to make any announcements after the executive session, you can say so now.
Well, all we have left is public participation and calendar.
But I would do the public participation calendar now.
Okay,
You know,
We let people go.
all right, that sounds good. So under public participation, anybody from the public that would be?
Hi.
Hi, Jane.
Hi. So I just had a couple of questions, listening to this whole discussion. The, Sandy, when you were talking about we're 155 in the black, does that include those numbers from the steps for the elementary school and the transportation? You said it was like 99,000? Or do we have
Yes,
to?
no, I took those into account.
Okay, so that's what we have.
That's what we have. But Jean, we haven't heard from Silver Lake yet.
Okay,
And they've already asked for an over a 240,000, I think, dollar increase. So
not including the tennis court.
not including the
Right.
tennis.
crazy. And I'm assuming with this, these contract negotiations, for FY 21, the year that we're in, if it gets voted on, it's going to be retroactive to July. So where does that money come from?
I got a
Right.
bank on the street. So in all seriousness, we'll have to scrounge for the money, Gene. It's
Okay.
either it's going to come from other accounts that we've underspent. We'll get it from free cash, or we'll get it from stabilization. Those are the only places that will be available to us.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gene. Anybody else have anything? Okay, for calendar, we're meeting again on 3/17. Getting back, are we thinking we're gonna have the articles by then? I remember last week we thought. if we
Yeah,
could-
I hope to. Charlie has sent you out a draft of the warrant.
Yep.
So if you look through that, you get an idea of what the articles are. The capital planning committee is meeting tomorrow, and I'm hoping to get through all of the articles and to get an idea of what everyone, what articles we're supporting, which articles we're going to recommend to the finance committee so that we can present that on Wednesday, because we're
Okay.
just running out of time. So that's what I'm hoping we
Right.
can do.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I mean, if we didn't have them, then there really isn't a reason to meet on Wednesday, because that's pretty much what our
Right.
focus remaining is. So if something happens, just let us know.
We will.
We'll move that to the next Monday agenda. But for right now, we're planning on meeting on Wednesday, and that's going to be the plan. After that, we have a meeting next Monday, and then again, we're scheduled for every Wednesday. We'll see where we are next week, whether or not we need a Wednesday next week. But we'll continue the Monday, Wednesday, at least through the end of the month, unless somebody has a particular problem, and we could talk about switching up a day or something like that. Okay, with that out of the way, I believe I need to make a motion to go into executive session for contract negotiations for sergeants, patrol officers, mixed units, fire, highway, and all unions at the Silver Lake Regional Silver Lake District and HES, as discussing strategy with respect to collective bargaining. And an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the town, and we will not be returning to public session following the conclusion of executive session. So
Now, do we have another number to do a Zoom meeting? How does this work?
We're just gonna throw everybody out.
Yep.
I can throw
Good
them out,
night, thank you.
Good night.
Bye, Gene.
Well,
announcer.
So I need a motion first to go into executive session. I made the motion. I need somebody to,
Oh, second.
well, I need it first.
Oh, I make motion that we go into executive session to discuss police chief, fire chief, schools, mixed units, sergeants, contracts.
Second,
Okay, and we need to do a roll call vote. So Tom,
yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
and myself is a yes. So at this point, we'll be in executive session. So take it away, Charlie.